It's interesting, William saying to Harry, are you sure? It was my brother who said to my wife, are you sure? Before we got married.
Really?
Yeah. She was trying to help her out.
And look how that turned out.
Who's laughing now?
Question is Meghan really to blame for the latest rumours of turmoil?
Yeah, it does seem like she's getting all the stick, doesn't it? We're joining us now is Katie Nicholl, author, who says Meghan has nothing to do with the decision to break up the foundation, and Tom Bower, biographer and author of The Rebel Prince, who believes Meghan is very much responsible. Do you really think that?
I do, because I think Harry is a sort of really decent bloke, but easily influenced. And I think he's found great love with her. And at the same time, he's married a woman who's very determined, very ambitious, who had a huge career in her terms in Hollywood, and these rumours about them going to Cape Town in South Africa is all about an individual Meghan-led operation. And that isn't... she's not meant to be taking advice from an actor who advertises coffee. She's meant to be taking advice from Buckingham Palace, and I think she's resisting it.
But isn't an actor who's selling coffee, I assume you're meaning George Clooney, it's somebody who has faced an extraordinary amount of scrutiny across his whole career and actually maybe would be able to offer some valuable advice which is specific to her and to Harry rather than the royal protocol which might work in the past?
I think the exact opposite. I think the fact that that baby shower party in New York was very much organised by the Clooneys show they don't understand that the royal family is the most important part of the British country. I mean, it's the glue at the moment in these troubled times that holds the country together. And the one thing you can't have is someone going off-piece, someone doing an opera, their own thing.
I think there is a learning curve in all of this. And I've spoken to sources who are very close to the Sussexes, and I think they will say that this has been an adjustment period for Meghan. Marrying into the royal family is no easy feat. I've said it before, but the idea of two duchesses feuding, much sexier than two brothers that have actually fallen out over something. So I think there have been tensions, but I think this is part of a learning process. But to bring it back to what has actually happened, which is the division of their charitable foundation, to me, it feels very much like the next step. Sussexes have got they're a family now, they've got their own household, they've got their own court. It makes absolute sense to me that they should have their own charitable foundation. They are going to have very different roles to William and Kate. William and Kate's going to be king and queen.
But
The
Katie,
Sussexes
it doesn't
aren't.
help, with Tom's point, though, it doesn't help with the rumours that there is something more untoward going on. If they've built this, because Sean was at the launch of the foundation when the brothers first came together, and then we saw it develop further when both the wives were involved too.
Should I tell you what I think went wrong, if I'm being honest?
Yeah.
I think had they announced that there was going to be a separate household at the time of the wedding or shortly after, and a new charitable foundation, it would have felt very natural, it would have felt very timely, and possibly we wouldn't have had this whole narrative and the rumours of the rift being fuelled. I think you're right. Probably people are saying, well, you know, is there now a separate foundation because actually as a foursome they don't get on? All of that would have been avoided had the announcement that there would be a separate household and a separate foundation.
And had they taken instruction from the royal household? Because that's Tom's point, is that...
My point is simply that you're right if they started like that, but thank goodness they didn't. Because actually, the royal household is one household. It shouldn't be separate households. It shouldn't be rival households.
But it's always been separate households, Tom. You've got the Prince of Wales has his own household at Clarence House. The William and Harry set up their own household at Kensington Palace.
Charles's own household is actually the reason why I wrote my book about Prince Charles. He was causing terrible trouble by his own household.
Isn't this just families?
No, it's not just a family.
Isn't this just... I know they're not just a family. They're an extraordinarily important family, constitutionally and everything else. But isn't that what happens? You know, she's getting the blame, but maybe Harry quite wants to have a little bit of independence.
No, Harry
wants to move into this
We know
situation.
that Harry is a vulnerable man. He's admitted it himself with all the trauma of his mother's death and everything, and we know that he's malleable. He's very much in love.
I was going to say, don't you think he's found a pillar of strength in Meghan? And I think it's absolutely natural that he should want to strike out on his own. This is a man who's spent all of his life in his brother's shadow. Why shouldn't he strike out
and he's finding his feet for a future.
But, I mean,
the weird thing is she gets the blame, doesn't she?
She does,
well,
but women always do, I'm afraid.
Well,
I think there's a big element of sexism.
That's sexist to say that.
But I think there's an element of sexism in all of this, that the Duchess gets a hard time.
No, there isn't. The whole point is simply that there's no doubt that when Meghan arrived, I'm sure it was a great love affair and still is, but it doesn't matter what happens today or tomorrow, it will happen over the long term. And it's not healthy to have these stories of rivalry, and to split the foundation was absolutely unnecessary. It was symbolic of something probably far more deep.
But was it if they're going to pursue different
Well, the problem, they
careers
shouldn't,
and different...
though. They shouldn't.
But why
There's only
not?
one career, and that is to serve the country, to make us all feel that this family who symbolises the best of Britain and all the rest of it. And the whole problem of Charles was that he kept on doing this separate stuff and caused trouble.
Okay,
and the one thing she shouldn't do is follow in Charles's footsteps.
So taking this forward then, because these rumours are going to continue and they're going to grow and they're going to develop until they come together and they work out how they can get past it and prove that there was a united front from the brothers and within the family, and they are just going to live separate lives as they have every right to do, like I do for my brother and my sister. It's just that they're not in the glare of the royal family. What can they do you think, Katie, to put this to bed?
Look at Trooping the Colour. The last time we saw them as a foursome, you had Kate in the carriage with Meghan and Harry. They all looked very happy. They are obviously aware of these rumours.
2 days before, Meghan refused to come to Buckingham Palace and meet Donald Trump.
But she's on maternity
yeah,
leave.
funny enough, 2 days later she wasn't.
But I would say a state visit is very different to Trooping the Colour.
Well, it was very wrong of her to stick to the fact that she called Trump a misogynist and divisive, which she would be entitled to do as a private individual.
Isn't it important to have people that are principled, though, Tom, rather than sort of suddenly changing the way she stands just because she's become part of the
That
royal
won't
family?
make for happiness in the long term, will it, if you have to change every principle within a marriage?
But it's not a principle, it's a matter of fact. You can't have the member of the royal family taking political points of view when there's a state visit. And she should have been in Buckingham Palace. She should have been there.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately, but it's always lovely to see you both.
There is plenty to talk about.
There is plenty to talk about.
You'll be back soon, I'm sure.
Undoubtedly.